All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Whether you want to call it an overreaction or a move that simply had to be made, but the Phoenix Suns are now searching for a new head coach. Monty Williams was fired last night as the Suns head coach after 4 years in Phoenix, which included leading the franchise to just its third Western Conference championship 2 years ago. But oh, how things have changed so quickly for the Suns. You think back to those 2021 NBA Finals against the Milwaukee Bucks, and I talked about this the other night. The Suns had a 2-0 lead in that series before they lost the next four. You go back to last year's Western Conference semis. Phoenix had a 2-0 lead over Dallas, then a 3-2 lead over Dallas before losing the final two games. And then, of course, the expectations this season when the Suns made the deal just prior to the trade deadline to acquire Kevin Durant from the Brooklyn Nets. At the end of the day, you're hearing the stories that new Suns team owner, Matt Ishbia, was never warm to the idea of Monty Williams as his head coach. And again, Matt Ishbia was not the guy who hired Monty Williams. That's a big thing. Now, yes, the Suns were a flawed team, and we've talked about this, and it's not just me. You saw it after they gave up so much to get KD. They didn't have the depth on their team like they once did. But for me, one of the biggest things was you have to look at it. The Suns got blown out in game six at the hands of the Denver Nuggets. They found themselves down by 30 points at the half, just like they did last year in game seven versus Dallas. And these are both contests in your own building. Those are not good for the fan base and for the team as a whole. You know, it definitely leaves a bad taste in people's mouths, most notably Ishbia. And the question is going to be, did the Suns make the right move as far as firing Monty Williams? And for me, it's one of those where I have to lean towards saying yes. And the reason why that I'm going to say yes, I have several reasons. Number one, you can't fire the players. And the players did not execute. But at the end of the day, the coach, more often than not, is going to be the fall guy for their execution or lack thereof it. Secondly, like I just alluded to, Matt Ishbia did not hire Monty Williams. And again, if you're Matt Ishbia, the tenor of this team changed once you made the acquisition of Kevin Durant. It's championship or bust. Again, Matt Ishbia did not hire Monty Williams, and he wants to go out there and get a head coach who he feels is going to lead this team to a championship. But at the end of the day, the Denver Nuggets were the better team from top to bottom. They were the deeper team. They executed better. You name it. And honestly, if you're the Suns, especially after those first two games in Denver, you should be thankful that you didn't get swept. You came back and won games three and four in your own building. And then, of course, you lost the last two. But at the end of the day, Monty Williams is going to get some of the blame, and he should, but he shouldn't get all of the blame. Monty Williams was not the guy who re-signed DeAndre Ayton to that big deal. It looked like DeAndre Ayton was headed to the Pacers because it looked like the Suns were not going to match the deal until they did at the 11th hour. You heard about friction last year between Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton, and it carried over to this year. And I mean, you're moving on from Monty Williams, but it's not even a guarantee that DeAndre Ayton is going to be on this team next year because you're hearing rumors about both him and Chris Paul possibly being shopped over the summer. We got to wait and see. But at the end of the day, what's next for the Suns? You're hearing rumors, and they're only rumors, that Phoenix could be interested in current Los Angeles Clippers head coach Ty Lue. But even with that said, this is going to be a very interesting head coaching cycle in the NBA. We just saw Nick Nurse get fired from the Toronto Raptors, Mike Budenholzer from the Milwaukee Bucks. Both of these guys are championship head coaches. Both of them have won championships within the last 5 years. And of course, Ty Lue was the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers when they won it all back in 2016. But at the end of the day, I think that the next head coaching hire for Phoenix has to be a home run. And I think it is going to be because Matt Ishbia is one of those guys, and he's shown in a very short time, he is willing to push all of his chips to the middle of the table. He knows that probably has a couple of more years at best with a guy like Kevin Durant at this level. You know what you can get out of both him and Devin Booker as scorers, and you got this opportunity for this championship window. You definitely want to go out there and try to seize that moment. But at the end of the day, Phoenix still has to strengthen their team and their bench, most notably around KD and Devin Booker. You just look at these playoffs right here as far as the drop off in production. Devin Booker led the Suns in scoring in this postseason run at nearly 34 games. KD was 29 even on the dot. The third highest scorer for the Phoenix Suns in this postseason was DeAndre Ayton at nearly 13 and a half per contest. And you looked at the two games that Phoenix won in this series with the Nuggets. KD and Devin Booker had to bring it. Both of them scored well over 30 points and leading the Suns to those two wins. But obviously, when they didn't get to that mark, Phoenix really did not have a chance, as all four of Denver's wins in this series came by double figures. So obviously, the depth was not there. You were asking Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to play a ton of minutes. And again, all of that does not fall on Monty Williams. So you look at it, you got a guy like James Jones. He's running this front office, but just like Monty Williams, he was not the guy. He was not a guy who was hired by Matt Ishbia. He was retained. And, from what you're hearing, James Jones really didn't want to fire Matt Ishbia. But at the end of the day, pardon me, not Matt Ishbia, excuse me, Monty Williams, but he did not have a choice. I'll tell you like this. If the Suns have another playoff disappointment in Matt Ishbia's mind next season, maybe James Jones is out of a job as well. But this is going to be a very important summer for James Jones. It's also going to be a very important summer for the Phoenix Suns. First and foremost, you got to get yourself a new head coach. Secondly, you have to strengthen your team around Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Also, let's be realistic. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton. All four of these guys are injury prone. We saw it again from Chris Paul in this postseason series with the Nuggets. We've seen it throughout Kevin Durant's career, throughout Devin Booker's career, and Ayton's career as well. Again, wouldn't be surprised to see Ayton and Paul gone next year. But again, you have to strengthen that team around your stars if you have championship aspirations. So, I'm not surprised, but I am surprised. But I'm definitely leaning on being not surprised to see Monty Williams no longer the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. At the same time, for him, it would not surprise me to see him not be out of work for that long because there are a lot of openings out there. You look at Milwaukee, you look at Toronto, possibly Philadelphia. We don't know. But nonetheless, I don't think that Monty Williams is going to be out of work for long. He is a very well respected coach in the NBA ranks, and somebody will definitely give him a hard look this summer. And somebody's probably going to throw about a boatload of money at him to have him come in and lead their team. But nonetheless, you kind of saw the writing on the wall, especially with the way that the season ended for the Suns. That loss that sent them home left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And at the end of the day, like I said, you can't fire the players, which left Monty Williams as the fall guy for the Suns' demise. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.